Chapter 11, Thanksgiving 1985. Lillian, Nancy, and Bryn woke up early Thanksgiving morning and went into the kitchen eager to make it smell like a holiday. Every year, the same people spent the holiday with them. Of course, this year, Brian would not be there, but the other four members of the family would be. Dad's cousin, Joe, and his wife, Angela, and their two kids always show up. Dad's best friend, Red, whose wife left him for their fertility doctor, would be there alone this year. Mom invites two of her friends every year, Shirley, with her husband, Danny, and their three sons. She also invites Dorothy, who used to be married to the fertility doctor. Of course, she would be alone also, as she and Doc had no kids. Doc and Red's wife were not invited, for obvious reasons. Evidently, Dorothy and Red were the ones who were infertile because Red's ex-wife became pregnant immediately upon dating her new beau, Doc. Bryn was a phenomenal baker and was absolutely famous for her caramel apple lattice pie. That year, she made the caramel apple pie, pecan brownies, and the silkiest almond cake with strawberry icing. Nancy was tying the turkey's legs to prep it for the oven when she asked, "Mom, did I ever play with a kid named Earl when I was really little?" Lillian dropped the colander full of fresh green beans she had just washed and responded, "How do you expect me to remember some random kid you played with a long time ago?" Lillian picked up the beans and started rinsing them again. Bryn glanced over at Nan and said, "Remind me not to eat the green beans this year. They're dirty." Nan chuckled. Lillian left the kitchen, face red, sniffling. "Hey, what's wrong with Mom? Is she acting hurt because I said the green beans are dirty?" "Because they are. I was serious," Bryn whispered in all honesty. Nancy said, "Mom is weird. Don't you know already? By the way, Bryn, what did you mean about Earl being your roommate sometimes?" "He sleeps in my room. A lot. Brian and Shari are so selfish. They put the sock on the door because she sleeps in the room with Brian most nights of the week." "Oh, so that's where the nickname Socks came from." Halfway, he also took care of Gina's leg by making a tourniquet with his socks. So both of those things made him Socks. Bryn continued, "I've not said this to anybody else, but it's super comforting having him in the room. I think it's his smell. Something about his smell is eerily comfortable." "So you like him, but he's Gina's boyfriend?" "No, definitely not like that. He's my friend, and that's all. I can't explain it. You know how you said you think you know him? It's kind of like that. I feel some strange connection with him, but it is definitely not romantic," Bryn expressed emphatically. "Bryn, since you said that, it really makes me think we knew him as kids. I have this gnawing about having known him, and you feel comforted by his smell. Mom freaked out when I asked about playing with a kid named Earl. Maybe she dated his dad after our natural dad died, but before she married Dad." "Maybe," Bryn mumbled under her breath, mindlessly, while mixing the cake batter, quickly correcting her own thought and the words of her sister. "No, his parents are married and have been married. His sister is older than you." The two girls then looked at each other, confused with furrowed brows. Meanwhile, in the town of Pecan Grove, Gina was spending the Thanksgiving holiday with Earl's family, sort of. Gina's family visited some of their relatives in Alexandria, Louisiana, for the Thanksgiving break and planned to pass by Earl's home so both families could meet and become acquainted. It was Gina's dad's idea. He said he was hearing this Earl name too much and wanted to put a face with the name. Gina's dad, Michael Krebs, was of small stature with an endearing demeanor. He had a bright character and a handsome face. His mother was from Japan, and he bore a striking resemblance to her, except for his orange hair, which he inherited from his father. Mike's father was an Irish and German descent and died when Mike was young. Mike's personality was gregarious, like a salesperson, atypical of other attorneys he worked with. It must have worked in his favor since he usually won his cases. Edna, Gina's mom, was a black lady who was born in Braidwood, Illinois. Her personality was dry and bland. She loved her husband but seemed almost embarrassed by how he presented himself. She said he was unprofessional and childlike. "Welcome to our home," Hua said as she opened the door to her home. "Hello, I'm Michael Krebs, ma'am. This is my wife, Edna, and my daughter, Natalie. Of course, you've seen this one in photos. This is Gina. I know I've seen a bunch of pictures of your son, Earl." Edna, Natalie, and Gina spoke their own hellos as they followed Mike into the house. The family was led straight out of the side door where they discovered Bobby grilling burgers and Earl adding pecan wood chips to the firebox on the side of the smoker. Bobby looked up and gave a general hello to the whole family. Earl caught only Gina's eyes and thrusted toward her with a potential hug that was redirected by Gina into a handshake to her father. Catching the unsubtle hint, Earl shook the man's hand and said, "Hi, Mr. Krebs. Pleased to meet you, sir." While Mike was telling Earl how much he'd heard about him, Earl pivoted to extend a hug to Edna. "Mrs. Krebs, it's great to have you here also. Hey, Nat." The two families made themselves comfortable on the side patio on the balmy 70-degree Fahrenheit Louisiana day before Thanksgiving. Michael carelessly stated, "It sure is bizarre that y'all live at a funeral parlor. I almost passed it up until Gina yelled at me to stop. Who knew your house was attached to the house of the dead?" Mike's wife and daughters shook their embarrassed heads in unison. Bobby got a good belly laugh out of it, though. Gina spotted the tree in the center of the yard and walked over to its swing. "Earl, come push me on the tire swing, please." Earl dutifully responded, but first swiping the hug he was left hanging from earlier. "Gina, your mother seems angry. Your dad is overly chipper. What's up with that whole dynamic?" Gina cackled almost sarcastically. "You are a perceptive one, aren't you? My dad is a good dude. He will do anything for us, for everyone. He's a fabulous attorney, great dad, neighbor, friend. I could go on. People respect him so much. But when I tell you he is a fucked up husband, dude, he lies, he cheats, he belittles. She actually has an amazing attitude considering all that she goes through. By the way, Bryn does not know. Nobody knows. We just let everyone think that our mother just has a bad personality." "Why?" "That's how she wants it. She doesn't want people knowing how bad he treats her." Earl was shocked. "Man, I truly hit the parent lottery, didn't I?" "Seems like it. Are they over there putting on a show for company?" "Nope. That's how they are all the time." "Wow, you are fortunate, Earl." Natalie walked over to the pecan tree and told the couple she thinks they should start eating and break up the parents' conversation. Mom, making general small talk, just asked Mrs. Wah why she hadn't started cooking for Thanksgiving yet. Mrs. Wah told her she gets up early on Thanksgiving morning to start cooking. Yeah, we better go over and break that up. My mama is a sweet little thing, but she will get all up in somebody's face, especially if you're talking about cooking. That's her livelihood, Earl added. The three youngsters went over and started the meal of hamburgers and potato chips. Gina's family left in the late afternoon on their journey to visit their relatives. Bobby, Wah, and Earl discussed the behavior of the family after they left. None could wrap their minds around some of what they had experienced. Wah decided to warn her son. You know, son, you marry a person's whole family when you say I do. Wah glared at her own husband as if to say, I know I did. Bobby looked up from his TV guide and said, You love my family, all of them. Wah smirked a little and left the subject right there.